The second page, which gets into the more specific recommended actions related to this initiative, are all broken down into short, medium, and long term. Short term being on the 3-year horizon, medium on the 10, and long term on the 20-year horizon. Metrics that are currently estimates based on the best available data, but will likely be amended and evolve over time as new information is available, allow us to track our progress against our success in meeting the goals of each initiative. And then in terms of facilitating implementation, each initiative has the primary internal city department responsible for action, potential partners in the private and civic sectors, potential costs associated with achieving the goals of this initiative, and in each case some funding sources that might be available, government and non-governmental, to help achieve those goals. When we read the initiatives, it's important to keep in mind a certain amount of caveats. I think first and foremost, the monetary and staff resources necessary. In almost every case, the initiative will result in long-term savings, but often they require short-term investment. And I think we just want to be clear that all investments in the community by the city that will require resource allocation, they'll have to be prioritized both against other initiatives and against other city programs and city priorities, and that is the responsibility and purpose of the City Council. So there's none of that prioritization is embodied yet in this document. That's really the next step that we're looking to all of you for assistance on. In terms of timetable, they're structured in a way so that they have a logical sequence of events and are structured in a way to delay significant expenditures beyond the current fiscal situation. But again, these can be amended as appropriate with input from the council and others. Many recommendations are very straightforward, straightforward language, but some are more conditional. And the conditional ones, I think, can be summarized by saying that the advisory board believed that the proof of concept was valid enough to include them in the report, but that they need further study, further analysis to really take the next step towards those implementation items. As I've mentioned, many of the quantitative information here, they're all based on data as it was available, but some of them are estimates, and these are going to have to evolve over time. They're going to have to be adjusted as new information is available and as new partners come to the table. And perhaps, most challenging with anything like this, as I think has been demonstrated by some of the opening slides that talk about this being the pivot point between global challenges and local action and local benefit, is that desire to balance realism and flexibility. And we feel like we've come up with a document that sets a very ambitious course, but that course is built on realistic objectives, so that there's nothing in here that's not attainable, and that sets the city, this council, and all the people who have dedicated time so far and will dedicate time in the future, nothing that sets them up for failure. I'm going to read this first piece word for word because I think it's important enough that I shan't summarize it. Regarding future decisions, the adoption of GreenNR would signal the City Council's support for its principal objectives and its desire to explore seriously options for achieving these objectives. The adoption as a general policy statement would not prejudge approval of the many legislative and administrative actions necessary to realize its goals, nor would it imply automatic assignment of funding to GreenNR's implementation. Rather, these specific actions would be considered by the City Council and by other decision makers on a rolling basis as circumstances and organizational and financial capacity permit. So the hope is that this document in its entirety would be viewed as a policy statement of a direction that we look to head, acknowledging that the details therein will need amendment, will need adjustment, will need prioritization, and will need more specific action by the council moving forward. But we hope that it represents within it a vast majority of those policies and investments and strategies we think available at the municipal level to achieve these lofty goals. Administration and staff responsibilities. As I just said, the city will prioritize implementation and coordinate staff activities as necessary, and there would be periodic reports to the council, annual updates on overall progress towards the goals, and on specific initiatives as necessary and as warranted for particular votes or action. What's probably some of the lowest hanging fruit is just making sure that city documents, city policy are in line with the sustainability statements. There are many opportunities, whether it's in the comprehensive plan or ongoing development agreements, to use the sustainability plan as an overarching policy guidance framework when amending, when updating these more specific policy documents. And then finally, to reiterate, the City Council would adopt this document as a general statement of policy and would then reserve the right to reconsider, amend, or rescind those elements, those specific elements and individual elements at its discretion. And I just want to close by saying, as the mayor alluded, myself individually and RPA as an organization is involved in many similar efforts around the tri-state region, from Trenton to Bridgeport and New York City. And I think there's two important points that I'd like to leave you on regarding leadership and vision. One is that you're not alone. There is a network of cities facing same challenges, similar conditions, that are all working together up and down the Northeast and across the nation, and it's a body that you can lean on for advice, for assistance, to bounce ideas off of, and to learn from. We don't need to all recreate the wheel. But simultaneously, there's many communities that aren't there yet. So New Rochelle has a significant opportunity here to be a leader, not only in the region but in the nation. And that affords so many benefits when it comes to job creation, firm retention, and the ability that we're seeing in communities around the region for communities that are defining themselves on the forefront of sustainability and a new way of thinking about the direction of their community, and the benefits that they have in relationships with various levels of government and with the private sector and with their communities. Thanks.
Okay.